Hi, everyone. This is Jeff Wooster, Global Sustainability Director at Dow. Today, I'm here with Helen Sahi, Director of Sustainability at Armstrong World Industries. This is Looped In, a conversation series about unlocking the power of the circular economy. Thank you so much, Helen, for joining me today. For those of you who may not be familiar with Helen, she leads the technical, organizational, and strategic aspects of AWI's sustainability work. Welcome to Looped In, Helen. We're glad to have you here.
Thanks, Jeff. It's my pleasure to be here with you, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Today, Helen and I will be talking about one of the major trends in circular economy, and that's investing in innovation for new products and new materials that take advantage of recycling and turning old products into new products. At Dow, we're a plastics company, and so we're really interested in turning old plastics into new products. I know Armstrong is not a plastics company or a building products company, but I think there are a lot of parallels in how we can take materials that have been used for one purpose and repurposing them or reimagining them or reinventing them or recycling them or remaking them into something that can be used for another purpose. And I think that's something that Armstrong has shown that it's very good at doing, and I look forward to talking more about that today.
We've been in business for 160 years. We've reinvented ourselves many times. We actually started making cork for bottles and looking at how do we use the scrap from cork for other products. Fast forward many years later, here we are making these ceiling tiles. The white tiles are made from mineral fiber, and that includes recycled content. So that includes recycled newspaper, recycled paper in general that's in those tiles. We also have Armstrong's ceiling recycling program, where at the end of their useful life, we can take those ceiling tiles back and make them into new ceiling tiles. As a matter of fact, we can take ceiling tiles even from other companies. As long as they meet certain criteria, we can recycle them into more tiles.
It's great to hear about you using so many different materials from different industries and different suppliers to make your products. I think it's really a great example of how we implement circular economy in practice. Before we get further into our discussion, can you tell me how Armstrong defines the circular economy?
When we look at ceiling tiles, we're always asking ourselves, so what's next? And we're exploring other ways in which ceiling tiles can be used in a different kind of product. What does that look like? And we're not 100% sure, but we are looking at how do we take those products and make it into something else. So for us, circularity means end of use becomes a new feedstock, either for the same product or for a brand new product, but let's keep it in the system.
I think it's a great opportunity for us to make sure that we think about how business can mimic nature in the way that we operate our systems and use resources in the best way possible. And how do you leverage your supply chain to get all of your partners to work together and collaborate to make this happen?
Our supply chain, when we look upstream and the products that are coming into what we're making, right, and products that then go into building spaces, it's really working with the suppliers so that they understand where we're headed from a sustainability standpoint. And how do we work together to have the most sustainable input into our products and therefore a more sustainable product at the end? As we know, this pandemic has really shown what can happen if we don't have resilient supply chains, right? What happens if we're not planning properly? And so we have to plan for whether it's another pandemic, a climate crisis, a weather crisis. And here's a real opportunity for companies like Armstrong, who have a circularity mentality and are really focused on sustainability, to not only be sustainable, but to be resilient when we have those events coming in the future, because we know that they will be here. So it really sets Armstrong up to be that company that's going to be around for another 160 years.
What do you really think is ahead for the industry? What do you think is coming next? What are the next big things?
So in the building industry, one of the big things that we're looking at, and as a matter of fact, the American Institute of Architecture has said that we're really going to focus on reducing embodied carbon. And that's a very building specific term. You and I know it as scope 3. So how do we reduce the carbon in the building? We always think about reducing energy and water, which has a footprint, right? A CO2 or carbon equivalent footprint, but how do we reduce that embodied carbon in the building? And the best way to reduce embodied carbon is to use recycled content. If one does a life cycle analysis, you'll see that by using recycled content, you will drastically reduce the amount of embodied carbon in the building. So that's really a big push these days in the building industry.
I think it's really important that we remember that things that are durable and last a long time contribute to sustainability too, and not just recycled content. So appreciate your comments about how long things last. So Helen, if our listeners today want to learn more about what Armstrong is doing, can you to let us know where they can find that information? Do you have a website or another source of information that they can go to?
Yeah, Jeff, if anybody wants to find out about Armstrong, they can go to www.armstrongceilings.com. You can learn about our sustainability products. You can learn about our sustainability program, what we have to offer. And just a little preview, next year, we will actually be updating that website with more sustainability information. You'll be able to read about our goals and where we're headed and what's the next steps for Armstrong.
That's fantastic. Thanks for joining me today, Helen, on Looped In. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Looped In.